If I hadn't ripped that lock off the gate with my pickup truck, our whole town might have burned to the ground. That sentence plays on repeat in my head sometimes, especially now standing here, arms crossed, watching a fire truck refill its tank from the emergency water valve buried just 10 feet inside my property line. The very same valve that Victoria Summers tried to claim as HOA territory. The very same valve she padlocked shut because, and I quote, "Your gate clashes with the neighborhood's visual consistency." I wish I were kidding, but this was no joke. Victoria's little HOA dictatorship unraveled into a full-blown statewide emergency in under 24 hours. And it all began with a silver padlock, a foldable lawn chair, and one woman's god-tier inability to mind her own business. It was just another Monday. Birds chirping, the smell of fresh coffee in my kitchen, and Ripley, my loyal old mutt, doing his routine patrol of the fence line like he owned Fort Knox. I was knee-deep in replacing some boards on my chicken coop when I caught sight of her. Victoria Summers, marching down the gravel easement like a fashion-challenged general heading into war. Big floppy sun hat, oversized sunglasses that made her look like a cartoon villain, and of course, that clipboard. She had it clutched to her chest like it held the nuclear launch codes. I didn't think much of it until I noticed she was walking directly toward my front gate. She paused, did a dramatic sweep of her surroundings like she expected a drone to be watching, then pulled a shiny object from her designer handbag. Before I could even get close enough to yell, she snapped a silver padlock onto my gate and spun around like she just planted the American flag on Mars. I jogged up, boots kicking dust, doing my best to keep calm. "Hey," I called out. "Did you just lock my gate?" She didn't even flinch. Yes. Per HOA Ordinance 14B, no unapproved front-facing structures may remain unlocked. "Victoria," I sighed. "This isn't a front-facing structure. It's a private access gate. On a private easement." She gave me that condescending smile like I'd just told her I believed the earth was flat. "That's what you think," she said, arching an eyebrow. "But it's clearly visible from the community trail. It's an eyesore. I've submitted multiple complaints and taken the liberty of securing it myself." "You submitted complaints about my gate?" I was stunned. She nodded with the smugness of someone who thought she'd just cured cancer. 3, to be precise. All unaddressed. So I acted. Now, I could have taken the lock off right then, bolt cutters, my ATV, heck, even a wrench and some elbow grease. But I didn't. Not because I feared her. Victoria's built like a popsicle stick in a pantsuit and has the legal power of a sticker book. No, I didn't remove it because I knew exactly what lay beneath the gravel behind that gate. 10 feet in, under a steel hatch, sat the emergency valve for the town's backup water supply, installed after the 2017 floods annihilated our main line. Guess who the county contracted to help design that system? That's right, me. I looked down at the lock, then back at Victoria, who was already tapping something into her phone with one hand and unfolding a lawn chair with the other. She positioned herself across from the gate on her own property and spent the next 4 hours sipping kombucha like a monarch on patrol. She even tried to redirect the Amazon guy, telling him to use a non-existent alley entrance behind the houses. He looked about as confused as I felt. By sunset, the thermometer was pushing 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Wildfire warnings flashed across the evening news. I debated calling the fire department to give them a heads up, but honestly, I figured Victoria would get bored and go home. Big mistake. That night, lightning struck a ridge 4 miles east. The dry brush lit up like it had been soaked in lighter fluid. From my upstairs window, I could see the orange haze growing over the horizon before I even smelled smoke. I grabbed my phone, checked the fire map, and my stomach sank. The wind was pushing west, straight toward us. Within 30 minutes, the sirens wailed. Fire trucks came barreling down the community trail, headed directly for my gate. I slipped on my boots and sprinted out, praying someone had thought to bring bolt cutters. But when I got there, Victoria was still parked in her chair, now wearing a robe and cradling a wine glass like she was poolside at a luxury resort. A firefighter jumped out. "We need access to the water valve now." Victoria didn't even glance up. "This is private property. No entry without HOA clearance." He blinked. I blinked. Everyone blinked. "Ma'am, that valve is a registered emergency infrastructure asset. You're obstructing state response." She waved a hand. "Then bring paperwork." I didn't wait for another word. I jogged to the shed, grabbed a heavy chain, looped it around the lock, hitched the other end to my truck's tow hitch, and floored it. The lock snapped like a wishbone. The gate flew open. Firefighters poured through. Victoria shrieked something about lawsuits, but no one listened. One firefighter tossed her a pamphlet, obstruction of emergency response, what not to do, and moved on. Thanks to the unlocked valve, the fire was contained within hours. But one home on the far ridge was lost before crews could get there. The next morning, I gave a formal statement to a very uncomfortable panel of county officials. Victoria? Nowhere in sight. But her lock? I hung it on my porch with a hand-painted sign. Warning, may cause wildfires. Word spread like wildfire, pun intended. By breakfast, I was a local legend. By lunch, the town council had called an emergency meeting. That night, I was asked to speak. I showed up with the original infrastructure blueprints, county contracts, and photos of the installation. The town hall was packed, standing room only. Right in the front row sat Victoria, dressed like she was running for Congress, clipboard in hand. Gate 17, I began, is the only accessible route for emergency responders to reach the Ridgeview Reserve Valve. Blocking it is not just a poor decision, it's a potentially criminal act. Victoria raised her hand. Excuse me. I was unaware of this information. As waterfront coordinator, I was acting in the community's best interest. Councilman Devers nearly choked. Visual harmony doesn't mean cutting off life-saving water access. Then I dropped the hammer. The valve system had been upgraded in 2021 with federal grant money. Homeland Security had flagged it as critical infrastructure. Victoria tried to speak again, but the mayor shut her down. This isn't a debate. We're launching a full investigation into HOA obstruction of emergency protocols. The crowd erupted in applause. Victoria stood, packed her tote, and stormed out. I thought that would be the end. I was wrong. The next morning, a notice appeared on my porch. The HOA fined me $800 for vehicular misuse on shared land and unauthorized demolition of HOA-installed equipment. I laughed. Out loud. This wasn't just pettiness, it was a war. I called Darren Hart, my buddy and local paralegal. You up for a legal chess match? Oh, it's Victoria, isn't it? He chuckled. That woman is like a Roomba with a vendetta. In Darren's office, we laid everything out: emails, HOA bylaws, federal codes. He pulled up the easement agreement from 2017. Perpetual emergency access shall not be obstructed or governed by private associations. This, Darren grinned, is going to be fun. The clincher? Darren had a flash drive labeled HOA Watchdog. Inside, screenshots from internal HOA chats. In one, Victoria bragged, we locked it. He can't prove it's federal. He'll cave under fines. Another read, Jenkins owes me. He'll approve whatever I need. We filed complaints with the county, infrastructure board, and FEMA's regional office. By sundown, 3 investigations were open. The next morning, the state fire marshal called. We're referring this to the State Emergency Oversight Committee, he said. Prepare for a subpoena. And then? The news van showed up. Local outlets ran segments. HOA president blocks fire crews. Social media exploded. Memes flooded in. One had Victoria's head on a medieval drawbridge, captioned, "None shall pass without a permit." In a panic, she went live online, rambling about visual harmony, legal misunderstandings, and being a victim. But public opinion had flipped. Fast. A woman named Denise started a petition to remove Victoria. Over 200 signatures in a day. I used an old bylaw to force a recall vote. Darren found a clause that permanently barred anyone who obstructed emergency access from holding HOA office. 1 week later, we held the vote. It wasn't even close. Victoria was removed. For good. The HOA reimbursed me, covered gate upgrades, and issued a formal apology to the county. A new president, Mike Townsend, stepped in. Quiet, calm, no clipboard. Just logic. They invited me to join the board as community safety liaison. I said yes. And for the first time in a long while, things felt right. No more padlocks. No more lawn chair sentinels. And definitely, no more Victoria. But every time I walk past that gate, I still see the faint scratch left behind by her lock. And I smile. Because that scratch? It tells the whole damn story.